And now we'd like to welcome the Reverend Karim Beldjilali.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, I've accepted the recording. It's happening. Good morning. It's lovely to see you all, and I'm so grateful to have joined you this morning. It's such a action-packed day. We've got ourselves Father's Day. We've got ourselves Pride Month, and a topic that is just so beautiful and so expansive. And so I just want to thank you for allowing me to journey with you as I come here to just share whatever may have come up in my little mind, that I am here alongside you, a learner, a traveler on this path. And so first, let me just start by acknowledging all the fathers for Father's Day. I want to wish you a happy Father's Day for all that are with us and the fathers that are no longer with us. And to acknowledge also the single parents out there that are playing both roles, the mothers out there that are fulfilling the father role as well. And for the fathers that have also had to do both, double duty. And for all of us that have played a role one way or another as a father in providing support and wisdom, of being someone that has encouraged and fostered. It need not be biological. It's something we can all do. And I want to just acknowledge that this is your day too. So happy Father's Day. And it's an interesting day to talk about unity because a lot of us may have some pretty conflicting relationships with our fathers. Rather, could be best described as distant or separate, or perhaps relationships where we were not terribly understood or seen. And we're also talking about unity at a time of reopening, right? When things are getting back to quote unquote normal. We're getting back together, we're getting back to see each other. You all are having conversations about, what does it look like to have services once again together? And so today, I want us to just explore what unity, practical, down to earth, moment by moment, how unity shows up in our lives, what gifts it bestows us, what it calls from us. So as we're all clamoring together to get back together, let us remember that even in our solitude for the last year and a half, that the thread of unity was the thread that was going through everything, this calling, this yearning to just be together, to learn from each other, to experience the gift that we are to each other. The Tao in its second verse puts it this way: everyone recognizes beauty only because of ugliness. Everyone recognizes virtue only because of transgression. Life and death are born together. Difficult and easy, long and short, high and low. All these exist together, arrive together. Sound and silence blend together, before and after. So perhaps today I would invite us to consider that we recognize unity. Perhaps everyone recognizes unity only because of separation. Conversely, perhaps everyone recognizes separation because of unity. Because deep down within each of us, this thing, this truth, knows that everything is interconnected, knows that everything is one thing. But again, we only know it because it's what our mind tells us its opposite shows up in our lives. Everyone recognizes beauty only because of ugliness. Recognize separation because of unity. So these moments when we're feeling alone, maybe these are gifts to us. When we're feeling alone in our own experiences, when we're feeling beyond help, beyond understanding, beyond feeling whole, or like we're beyond feeling like our true selves. Perhaps just like that Taoist verse, those places of beyond remind us that the truth is right here. That beyond, we only know beyond because something is right here. This truth, this love, this indwelling peace and wisdom is right here within us, around us. The song goes, right? God is right here in my heart. And yet there are so many times when we feel that it is beyond us, that love is beyond us. How do we get to embody that? How do we get to remind ourselves that it is right here in my heart, in our hearts? So the invitation, the first invitation I think Unity calls of us is to be embodied, to be in our bodies, be in our breath, be in our hearts, our heart brain, our guts. Be firmly grounded, right where we are. I don't know about you all, but I was most keenly aware of my breath when I had that mask on. When I would forget it, it would feel like, oh my goodness, something's way off here. But the in and out breath of walking around the city or getting on the subway or a bus or in the grocery store and feeling how this ebb and flow in my body, continuous and always, this breath just allowed me to feel so grounded that it was a reminder of how alive I was, how alive we all are. Our question is, how attuned are we to our bodies, moment by moment, especially as we're going back into the world? How attuned are we to these gifts from our fathers and mothers on this day? Are we being caretakers to these bodies? Attentive, caring, loving? Are we seeing ourselves more than just our thoughts? That life is a conspiracy of miracles, and this body is a miracle too. As many bacteria as there are stars in the galaxy conspire for us to digest our food. Millions and millions of cells that replenish themselves, and every 7 years we're a brand new person, literally. That these bodies are a great gift. So rest in your body. Be in your body. And we give great thanks for these bodies. Everyone recognizes beauty only because of ugliness. Everyone recognizes virtue only because of transgression. Life and death are born together. I put it this way, our spirit and our bodies are born together. They are one thing. So may we remember to arrive together, all of us, not just this head being carried around by this vehicle known as the body. And that's the gift that we get to be, because we get to show up fully as ourselves, fully present to ourselves, in ourselves. That this is a sacred vessel to our spirit. So, heart, body, mind, spirit, all of these exist together, arrive together. And I recognize this is supremely simple and basic. But I share this because I forget so often. I get in a hurry. I get impatient. I get lost in my thoughts. And maybe this can be of service to you. to just remember, connect to some piece of you, your breath, perhaps, and recognize the gift that it is in the conspiracy of life, of your vitality, of you showing up as you, fully as you, so that the world can get to enjoy the gift that you are. And so that's the next question for me is, all right, fine. You know, this was easy to do when we were all secluded, right? We were all hermited away. It was easy to be spiritual when you didn't have the friction and the rubbing up against people that you do out in the world. And we were all quarantined and quieted away. But how do we get to show up in the world, especially now? You know, we're reopening. Many places already have. How do we show up? The Tao puts it this way. It says, the sage acts without action and teaches without talking. All things flourish around them, and they do not refuse any one of them. They do not refuse any one of them. And so I wonder if in our going out in the world, how unity shows up for us. And I would submit that being inclusive, not refusing any one of them, is the way of the compassionate, open heart, compassionate, open mind, that the quality of our presence aligns directly with how inclusive we are. Of our heart, our heads, our hands, our aspirations, our hopes, and that of our fellow human beings. We don't always agree. Lord knows that's the case. But how do we show up and allow others to show up too? That inclusivity that we practice within to include our bodies and show up fully embodied. Can we extend that to a fellow human being? As the opening prayer said, can we allow them also to rest in this still point of grace? We practice grace for ourselves, but we can be generous and practice grace for others. This is extending ourselves beyond ourselves, an act of true compassion and an act of trust and surrender to the truth that we are all one. It's subtle and small, but it's so meaningful. That in seeing you and accepting you, loving you as you are, I am reconfirming our oneness with each other, that we are all loved, all perfectly made as we are, and evolving and growing and changing. So we cast nothing aside. That is our charge, as difficult as it may be. And that is an invitation to forgiveness for the moments where we come up short, to look beyond ourselves and see what is moving through us, see that love, generosity, freedom, hope, justice, our greatest aspirations, life itself, when we are embodied, moves through us and moves around us and is allowed to dance between us. As I love you, I love myself. As I love myself, I love you. These two things exist together, arrive together. And so may we be the gifts to the world when we show up as ourselves. Because community is what it's all about for me. When I heard the word unity as the topic this month, I took a giant deep breath and thought to myself, where is this most alive for me? And community is where it showed up. You all get together Sunday mornings hundreds and thousands and millions of people get together on their holy days and throughout the week in community. This idea of Comm, C-O-M-M, is a prefix. There's so many words that mean so much to us in this culture. Common, right? A shared experience, a public and open experience that we all get to connect to. It challenges us in other fun ways like communications, where we get to have a shared language, a shared experience, an interchange. Communion, where we get to connect most deeply to the deepest truth of who we are all together. Back to that truth that we are indeed all one thing. So our last invitation is to really, in going out into the world and being in community, is that every moment is our teacher. You are my teacher in how you've showed up today, as much as it might irritate me or discomfort me, or just it feels like it's one thing too many. But again, I get to recognize beauty only because of ugliness, or virtue because of transgression, because it all arrives together. We are each other's teachers. And that same practice of being inclusive with our full selves, we get to practice with each other. That as I welcome my experience, I welcome yours. Now, this is not an invitation to trample all your boundaries or let your truth go. But it is an invitation to be with each other. Just rest in the being of who you are and in the being of each other. And every interaction is a moment of learning. The Tao puts it in a very interesting way. It cautions us against othering each other. I think we've had a lot of that. It's become quite a well-practiced muscle of putting people into categories and boxes, discounting them like a bad retail sale or something of that sort, where you just don't get to look at something or you put it aside or away in the back. But othering has caused us some great pain of disunity. But again, we only know unity because of that ugliness. The Taoist puts it this way. When I and the enemy exist together, there is no room left for my treasure. When I and enemy exist together, there is no room left for my treasure. There is no greater misfortune than feeling I have an enemy. Thus, when two opponents meet, the one without an enemy will surely triumph. Unity is our greatest triumph. Unity is our way of sharing the gifts of who we are, of allowing the world to see and allowing ourselves to experience the fullness of what we have to give, of who we are. Your treasure is you, and it's being you and being all of you. So I caution you, do not rob us of this treasure. Give us more to see, I think, as Sondheim says. We need you. And the world is not itself without you being you. So this invitation of unity is really a calling forth of individuality and togetherness in community. You get to be the gift that we've been waiting for. And you need to know that you are loved as you are. And that whatever you go through, whatever ugliness or pain, whatever may cross your path, that may seem like the other, the enemy, the thing that is exactly not what you want. Guess what? You get to know it and recognize it only because you know beauty, you know virtue, you know justice, you know freedom, you know love. We get to see it because there is something indwelling within us, around us, and through all of us that is always interconnecting, that is always true, that is never untrue. So, as you go forth this week or in this day, when you see that person in the grocery store with the mask on that's not covering their nose, but covering their mouth, and whatever monkey mind story may go through your mouth, your head, or whatever other story you have going on. I have to give a vivid example because I was the one yesterday who didn't realize their mask was suddenly not on their nose anymore. It's easy to point it out in someone else. Whatever experience you find yourself going through, find an opportunity to reconnect to your body and give great thanks to this conspiracy of life within us and around us. And remain attendant and inclusive to all that is around us, breathing in compassion, knowing that it is love when it seems like it's not love, and to be the gift, be the beauty, as Carolyn Reynolds says, be the love, be you. And so it is. Amen.